Welcome to the Sam and Ray podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Ray.
And you know what? I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm so excited. We got such good feedback from the last episode.
Of narcissist?
Narcissist. And I feel like everybody has a narcissist in their life or knows of someone who is dealing with like just the worst narcissist ever.
That's
you know?
Cool.
And it's funny because I did find the guy on TikTok that I was telling Natalie and, well, everybody about how he's a reformed narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me wondering, like, how far gone or how, like, on what, like, is there a spectrum, basically? Because obviously he wasn't that far gone because then he ended up getting himself help.
Yeah, but I think that goes back to what we were talking about before, where it's like you have to want that. You have to want to be helped, right? And if you don't want to be helped, then I don't know what to tell you.
Like
it's almost like what we were saying. Like, it's a choice. Like, you decide whether or not you want to be a narcissist. You may not want to be called a narcissist, but you're choosing to just be that way. You're choosing to say, no, I'm not. Like, you're choosing to ignore it.
Yeah. Well, I got to go back to his I have to watch from the very beginning all his TikToks because maybe he explains that. And
perhaps
maybe he does.
Perhaps.
But
does he have a book out or anything, or
I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know. He just popped up on my feed one day, and he was saying like, "Oh, this is what I used to do as a narcissist," and I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
So it's just like random stuff. I don't know. Send me his stuff, and then I want to look into it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's a choice.
Maybe. I think I think it's a choice too. Some people are just assholes because they feel like they can be, you know, and it frustrates me. Like, okay, I could be an asshole, but like I was telling, but I was telling my friend, like, here's the thing. We think we're being mean and we think we're being bitches. And then if someone thinks that we're being mean to them or being a bitch, it's like, well, I'm normally a really chill person. What have you done to make me be a bitch to you?
But see, I've told you that before too.
Yeah.
Like, people like always like, why are you so rude? Why are you an asshole? Like, that's a perception that people get of me when I react a certain way. But people fail to realize that I'm very simple in the way of, I'm just gonna treat you how you're treating me, you know. So it's like, if you have a problem with how I'm treating you, the chances of me being that way are really just because of the way you're treating me. I don't have issues with people. I don't like have all these weird beefs that people fucking create. So if you have an issue with how I'm reacting, you may be looking at yourself in the mirror and figure out first, before you approach me, what am I doing to make him act this way with me? Yeah. And if you can't see it, perhaps maybe you're a narcissist yourself. You know what I mean? Like, well, no, I don't treat him that way. Like, maybe you do.
You know, I was gonna say something, but you know, I better not get into that right now.
But you're being narcissistic and telling yourself that you're not. You know. But yeah, that last week's episode was good. So
it was so good.
Shout out to Natalie and Ricky for joining us in that podcast, and we actually stayed on topic. That was
and see, I told you at the beginning of that podcast, I was like, we're actually gonna have actual quality.
I mean, I think
quality, topic.
I think all of our topics are quality. Honestly, it's just it's just the way we go about it. Yeah. And again, I always like I've explained to other people. Actually, one of our listeners, I seen her at the stadium this week. So shout out to Cynthia C. She's one of our avid listeners, and she follows us on Instagram. She follows myself on Instagram and the whole Rose City Sound family. But I was talking to her briefly at the stadium, and she's like, your wife is hilarious. She's like everything. Like, I'm like, honestly, I said, I always tell everybody, you're the star of it, you know, and that's not just to like, not to like stroke your ego or deflect, but at the end of the day, like, I feel like I'm here to accent and just give you the platform to speak what you want to speak about, right? Because we've always talked about having a podcast. Yeah. And me being able to provide for that is like, why not? Let's just fucking do it then. Like, it's like, get it done. Let's do it and get it done. Stop fucking around and questioning whether or not it's going to be cool or whether or not people are going to like it, you know? But then I also told her, I said, the thing is, for me and you, this is really the only time that we really get to sit down and have a conversation, because we don't get to sit down that often and just talk. Like, even when you went with me to O'Donovan's, we didn't say too much, but it was also like I had a fucking long ass day.
Oh my God, you had a long day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we had the kids and we were chilling with them. Then I had to get ready for opening day at the stadium. We leave earlier than people could imagine how long we fucking leave just to get there to start at a certain time, and just doing all that, and then going over to O'Donovan's after and performing there with Hex. This is like, it was a long ass day. It was like a fucking 16-hour day, you know. And so it's just like, man, I don't really have much to say. We were still people watching and talking shit about people, but this is our moment where you and I get to have like conversations about shit. And I think that's the thing, is the way we converse. We're always off topic with shit. We're always like, we'll start somewhere and we just go somewhere else with it. But that's just, I believe, how everybody has conversations, especially with their significant others. You know, like you and I could be talking about work, and all of a sudden we talk about a sale at Old Navy. You know, like
and I'm like, oh, you know what? They are having a sale at Old Navy right now. Straight leg OG jeans or something like that. I don't need them. I have too many pairs of pants.
But yeah, this was a very untraditional way of introducing the episode this week. So how about I ask you, how was your day? How was your week this week?
Oh my God. Now it's good. After yesterday, after that passed, I had something I had to do, and I was shitting bricks. Like I could have thrown up on myself. But after it was all said and done, I feel much better. I got what I needed to get off my chest, and this kind of goes back to the whole narcissist thing. So, I mean, I could tell everybody close to me about what's going on, and they can give me their feedback. But in my mind, I'm like,
you're the type of person that needs to actually go through it.
Yeah, I need to go through it and then get someone else's perspective who isn't so close to the situation. You know what I mean?
Or you.
Or me. Yeah, like these people didn't know me. I had just met them, and I was there to speak to them about something. And at the end of it, one of them was just like, oh, wow. Like, you definitely have, an issue here. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, just her explaining it.
Like, you're not delusional.
I'm not delusional.
Not
no. And she
playing yourself as a
victim.
victim.
So once I told what happened, she basically said everything that I had already thought and what everybody else that was close to me had already told me. And I was just like, okay, this person doesn't know me. There's no reason for her to lie to me. If it wasn't a situation that needed to be a situation, then, she would have been like, I don't think you have a situation here. But this person was like, yeah, no. She said everything, and I could have cried.
And a lot of what you understood was also went hand in hand to what some of the research that Ricky was actually looking up, which I could see when we were recording the last episode. I could see it in your face. You're like,
oh my God.
Oh shit, she's like really like, because for some of y'all that don't know, Ricky Lee actually had a fucking computer and was, as we were speaking, she was actually like looking up things and hearing it like live and seeing it live, and the reactions that you ladies had on it was just like, oh shit. Like they really
because we had someone confirm it.
Everything was matched perfectly and in line to everything that you guys have been going through. And I get that. Like, it took me a while, even earlier in our relationship, to realize like you have to see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, we used to get into so many arguments because you would be like, no, you're just talking shit, or you're just being a dick because of this or that. And I'm just like, no, like, I'm trying to tell you something. So it took for me to fall back and let you actually see shit for you to experience like, fuck, he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
So after that, now I always realize now, and it gets frustrating though, like, because I'm trying to tell you, like,
and it has a lot to do with, and I think we brought this up. Yeah, we brought this up last week. It's a people pleasing thing too, and you don't ever want to think like, oh, okay, yeah, well, they did do that, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Or even if it's like a parent, it's just like, oh, well, that's my parent. And this brings me to, if anybody's heard about it or if you've read it or you should listen to it, it's called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And Jeanette McCurdy was a child actress. If you guys don't know, she was on iCarly. She was on Sam and Cat. You know, she's Samantha Puckett.
She was a Nickelodeon star.
She was a Nickelodeon star, yeah. Her life with her mother, who was, oh my God, just batshit crazy. Just it shows that, you know, because it's like a parent or someone close to you or even like whatever, she went through all the motions, you know, like her mom was doing these things to her, but because she was like kind of used to it, and she was like a mom pleaser.
Yeah.
She was
she didn't want to disappoint.
She didn't want to disappoint her mom.
Which I don't think any child wants to ever disappoint their
parent.
But
she went to the extent, this poor kid, she was a kid when this happened. She went to the extent of like always knowing like, okay, my mom's in this mood, so let's try and like, maneuver I already know what to do to make her happier, or, oh my God, she's actually happy. Okay, what do I do to make sure that she stays like this? And it's so sad that she had to actually be a kid who had to like parent her mother in a sense, like with her emotions. So like I don't know how to explain it, but it's so good, and you guys need to listen to it because her mom is like a definite narcissist. She always played the woe is me card, and yes, her mom did have cancer, but she used that, I think, to manipulate her in certain areas.
And that's I think another realm that we actually didn't even touch on last week, which now that I think about it, I don't know why we didn't, but a lot of times what ends up happening too is people take their circumstances, and it could be a very minor situation that's not pleasant, and they use that in their reasoning to treat people the way they do,
and to get what they want.
Yeah, and it's just like it's like a fucking bean dip of fucking narcissism. Like there's so many fucking layers to it where it's just like, Jesus Christ, like it's almost never ending. And because of that, I think that's why like you and Natalie and Ricky were trying to figure out like, well, am I a fucking narcissist? Because there's so many layers, but then there's also context, and you gotta like, for each layer of these things, you have to peel apart that concept and be like, okay, well, this is what's going on, and this is, well, I do that too. So is this me doing this because I'm a narcissist? Or like you said in that episode, it's just because I care and I don't want to be that way. But at the same time, if you know that, you shouldn't be kicking yourself when you're down, you know? And even with this situation, like I said, like sometimes I get frustrated because it's like you keep talking about it so much only because you're trying to convince yourself of everything that we've been trying to tell you. And it's just like, I don't know if you're not getting it or you're just being too hard-headed. Because then so you imagine, I hear the conversation you and I will have about the situation, right? But then your mom comes home, and then I hear the conversation again, and then if we go somewhere, then you're talking to someone else about the situation. So I hear the situation coming from you and other people who will say like almost 8 to 10 times within
the same thing
about the same thing. And the crazy part about it is everybody has the same answer for you, and none of it, where I say the frustrating part of it is none of it mattered what we were saying until you got into there. And you know, and that's why when I tell you like, look, I'm not trying to be a dick and I don't want to listen, but you know how many times I've listened, and you know how many times everyone has said the same thing that I've been telling you. Listen, like you actually have to find a time to actually listen, because again, going back to even the depression thing, we may not be experiencing what you're going through, but we've been through situations very similar, and we're letting you know how this process is going to play out. But you're singling out your situation and saying, well, maybe they don't understand because this is my situation. That's your situation, but people have been through similar situations and have encountered the same thing. You have a lot of people in your family that were in the same profession as you, and we're literally telling you the process because they've been through it and you still didn't believe it.
Yeah. And and that's just, I think, as an overthinker, that's what it is. Like, I see my brain as like part of it. It's a working brain. Okay. And this is how I've seen it since like everything happened to me, like anxiety, depression. I've always seen half of it as a working brain, normal, blood pumping through it, all this stuff, oxygen. And I don't know how the fucking brain works, so don't feel like that's not how it works. But it's nice and pink and all that stuff, like a normal brain. On the other side, it's like black and rotted. And that's how I see it, because on that side is where all the dark comes in. And it's just like, are you sure? 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 And it's just, and I think that's like my overthinking, my anxiety. And that's how I've always pictured it. Like, one side of me is always dark and cloudy and rainy, and the other side is like, bitch, get it together.
And I get that. I do. But I think one thing you always have to remember is that you can't use that as a crutch. Meaning, just because you see it that way, don't let that be the excuse why you don't listen to the people closest to you and are giving you the same advice that other people are telling you, that aren't, like you say, that aren't attached to the situation. Because at the end of the day, we're not attached to the situation. And you know who you're speaking to. You could talk to 9, 10 people, right? And I will be one of them, always. You need to understand, or if you do understand, put into practice. You have to consider going about having different practices about the way you think. Understand that I'm not the type of person to tell you that you're right if you're wrong. I'm not the type of person to tell you you're wrong when you're right. I'm a very fucking upfront person. So there's no reason for you.
I disagree that you would say that.
No.
That when I'm right. That I'm right.
Because if, like, how many times have you been like, well, you've gotten upset because I'm telling you the contrary to what you want to hear, because I'm supposed to tell you, I'm supposed to tell you as your husband something that makes you feel good. That's like the normal thought process for people. Like, you're my husband, you got to tell me so that I feel good about myself. No, I'm your husband. I need to tell you so that you don't endanger or hurt or go about doing any type of situation in a negative light. I have the same way we have to be as honest as we are with our children. I have to be that same way with my spouse, and I've always been that way. So that's why perhaps taking a new approach to now that you know, as being an overthinker, you know how you see your brain and the two sides of it and how you portray it right in your head. That's all fine. And no one will or should tell you that you're wrong for thinking these things. But what I, as your husband, would do is offer some type of resolution to it and say, start practicing a different method of going about your thought process. You can't take away overthinking. That's just who you are, right? But start practicing it in a different way. Stop overthinking the negative and figure out ways to overcome by overthinking the positive. So every time because at one point,
I feel like that's like an oxymoron. Like, how do you overthink the positive?
Well, how do you overthink the negative? It's only
believe me.
It's only a negative because that's the mindset that you have.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation where even if you listen to good happy music, it's not happy music. It's sad music. If someone is rejoicing and praising and doing something about their life and they're singing about it, you don't portray it in a positive light. You say how sad that he had to go through that.
Yeah, because it sucks to go through shit.
But it does. But why? You get what I'm saying? Like, you
just like you get mad at me for not liking the movie. What is it with Will Smith and his son?
Oh, Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes,
because the thing is, you've been conditioned to have the thought process of letting the negative overtake. And I'm not going to give your age away, but however old you are, and if you start thinking about it, this goes back to when I tell you, like, remember when I told you I don't fucking sleep, and there's a reason for it, because our mind doesn't fucking stop,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to start fucking like. It only sounds absurd to say that overthinking negative has to be overcome by overthinking positive. It's only absurd to you because your mindset is set to negative all the time.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a new method of going about overthinking, because in what reality is you thinking negative good for you? These are the things where, see, it got awkward. That's awkward silence, because at the end of the day, how often do you sit there instead of us as humans trying to dwell on the situation, or perhaps even um, like just drown it out by doing other shit. At some point, you can't drown these things out. You have to face them, and you have to go about doing this shit.
I don't want to.
And once nobody does, but once you do, I'm telling you, there's a fucking relief to it. So like, going back to what you were going through, right? Once you putting yourself through that spot, and reconditioning yourself of thinking, the shit that you're going through, it won't even phase you. It won't even, like, you're just gonna look at it like, well, I know you treat me like shit, but I ain't got time for you.
Yeah.
As opposed to where now you're like, you treat me like shit. What did I do wrong? What am I?
Yeah. And I think it's because, like, okay, in the last place, I don't know how to even talk about it because I don't want to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I was used to them doing these things, so I would be like, bitch, I ain't got time for your shit, I'll fight with you later. But I think because this situation is new, I'm trying to figure out, because it's me, I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, well, what did I do? Like, what did I do something wrong? Am I not doing, like, I'm trying to make sure that I'm crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why right now I'm like, what the fuck did I do to this person? What is,
But that's just you being
yeah.
negative, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
No,
what you
I
have
think
to,
that's me being a people pleaser. How dare you?
that that's also another form of narcissism. You're just being a narcissist to yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm my worst
So,
enemy.
and we're all our own worst enemy. No one
You
could,
love yourself.
no one could hurt us as much as we can to
Yeah.
ourselves.
I hurt my own feelings.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's that. And if you listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Chandler Bing laugh. If
I
anyone who
do
watch,
hurt myself.
if anyone watches Friends, you understand the psychological part of it when Phoebe's boyfriend breaks down Chandler, because she's saying that, like, you're only funny because you're not happy. You know what I mean? Like,
Shut the fuck
am I lying though?
I'm happy.
With yourself?
No, no, not at all.
But you see what I'm saying, and
Uh-huh.
that's why I'm asking you. Like, it's not. I'm telling you, it's not a fucking fun place to be, and I know it because I've been there. But it's a thing that's necessary. And if anyone who's like, you guys are listening, please don't take it like, oh, he's being an ass. No, listen, I'm not telling her something that I haven't done myself. There's times where she's gotten up in the middle of the night and I'm in the fucking living room, like, wide awake, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And those times, that's what I was doing. While everybody was asleep, I was thinking. I was putting myself in that dark fucking place and getting uncomfortable to figure out what the fuck is, like, it's not me. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up my whole life people telling me I couldn't do nothing. I was the baby of the fucking family. So a lot of my cousins and all that, and it's not to bash them, because this is what we do naturally as humans, is we tell the youngest one or the smallest one in the group, you can't do what we're doing. Go sit down. Go do this or go do that. To be honest, I feel like I've even done that to my sister before, because my sister and I are 10 years apart, and
Mm,
at some point in my life I realized, like, yo, she looks up to you in some type of way,
yeah.
and you can't sit her down, you can't push her away, you can't do these
Mm,
things, because you're just gonna do to her what has been done to you before.
And I've actually been there during a situation where someone was saying like, "Oh, well, what do you know? Ooh, my blood boiled because I'm like, "Oh, you don't even
And see, and
know.
that's the thing that
You have no idea."
and I remember that day, and that's why I always tell people like, look, so exactly why how you just said that, right? That was my point earlier of saying you going through what you're going through. And just because I'm not going through what you're going through doesn't mean I don't understand the process of it. And that goes the same to that situation. That person didn't understand the things that were being done or the things that have been processed for her. So for them to have say that just because they lived a different lifestyle doesn't mean she didn't have a fucking hard time in her life ever.
Exactly. And they weren't even around as much as we were to see the behind the scenes stuff.
Which
And
is
for them
which
to
is
just come,
which is fine.
yeah, but for them to come at her like that, I knew I had to just like stay in my lane because it wasn't my situation to get into. But I was so mad. Like I saw her as Millie because if someone were to say that to Millie, ooh boy.
Not just that, but you also have a relationship with my sister, which is just like, man, like you can't talk to her that way.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter who it is. And
Throw a chair.
I say that with a lot of people. Like, look, I talk a lot of shit and I fuck around. And sometimes I'm so serious to the point where I maybe not even say hi to certain people or don't talk to people, but that doesn't mean I don't care or love them. You know what I mean? Don't fuck with the people that are really close to me, that I consider close to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's probably just like that was the thought process that you experienced. But it goes to show again, like no one knows what we've been through. So it's not fair to say that they like you're right when you say you don't know what I'm going through. You're right. I don't know, but you also don't know what I've gone through and experienced in order for me to sit here and tell you how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
You have to respect it in a way, you know?
Yeah. And that reminds me of like when I was going through it the first time. I swear this podcast is going to get funnier after I'm done with this story. But when I was first going through
it doesn't have to be funny, Chandler. We're doing what we do every day, every time we sit down and have a conversation.
It reminds me because of when like I say, when I was going through or what started my depression, I had always heard of my grandpa going through his own, experience with it. But no one ever really talked about it. He didn't talk about it. I would just hear like, oh yeah, well, like once in a while. And then I think once he saw me laying on his couch for like the 8th day straight, not going to work or to school, and I was just a hot mess, he actually, my grandpa, oh, I'm going to cry.
He was a man of few words. So when he spoke,
it meant a lot.
Yeah, it was there for a reason.
Yeah, and he didn't really say much. Like, he was a quiet person. He loved you. But he actually sat down and talked to me and told me, like, a lot of his situation. And then he even said, like, it's going to get harder before it gets better. And it's just, I trusted that, and he was right. But I think, I trust, and not that I didn't trust you, but I think because he's my grandpa, and he was like one of the best people. Like, I trusted him. Oh my God, you're making me cry on this fucking podcast.
No, well, the thing is, and
so I trusted his word. Not that I don't trust yours, but his word meant more to me than anybody else.
Which is fine at the end of the day. Like, and I've always told you this. I don't. There's men who get in relationships and they see other men as competition, even parents, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're intimidated by a woman's father or grandfather or uncle, whoever is in their family that's closest to them.
Which
like,
I find weird.
It is
it's
weird.
So fucking weird.
It is weird. But for me, I understood that. But I knew also that I'm only going to speak up if I find that it's not correct. In the sense of
which you have before.
Which for me is just like, look, there's very, very few people, and you obviously being the main person, and that when I look at people, or when I just, like, in general, like, I love everybody, but I don't love everybody, right?
Amen.
So I don't know how to put it to where it sounds weird, but there's very few people that I would do unmentionable things for in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only because I know how far I can go with things, right? So when I tell you, like, if I ever tell somebody, you're never going to find someone like me, it's not me being a cocky ass. It's just me saying, hey, I got you. I'm going to take care of you. And no matter what circumstance. That's why when I look at it, like when I asked your dad for your hand in marriage, which I don't think anyone really fucking ever does anymore. But when I did it, I could tell when he looked at me that he knew that he really never had shit to fucking worry about.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he told me from the beginning when I did ask is that he's like, all my children, and for you, like, anytime you would go out with somebody that wasn't me, he was always blowing up your phone. He would ask you, like, are you okay? Like, yeah. not to check in, like you have to be here at a certain time, but it was just like, you're good. And he would say, when you guys started dating and you would pick her up and I knew she was always with you, I could sleep. I could go to bed and know that you're okay. Yeah. So for me to hear that from your dad, I also have to still live by that now. Mm-hmm. I still have to, 16 years into our relationship, I still have to. Damn, 16 years. I still have to fucking do that for you, right? And so that's why, too, even sometimes when I
was going to say, earlier you said you weren't going to tell my age, but right there they could just go ahead and like, she's got to be about this old.
Yeah, you're like 56.
Yeah.
We started dating when.
My under eye bags say that too. But continue, I'm sorry.
Anyways, but no, so it's just one of those things. I've entered you, and I don't mean this, and I know we get fucking.
I've entered you. You could have said it a different way. I've penetrated.
I didn't say penetrate. Look at now, that's where your mind is going. You see, but you get what I'm saying. Like I know you internally. Like
yeah, you do.
Man, I've never been so speechless.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Get your mouth off the microphone. but do you get what I'm saying? Like I know you. So when I feel like you're leaning towards someone and I'm just like, nah, that person's not the person.
Person's trash.
That's not the person that should be around you.
Yeah.
But then also knowing how you react to the things that I tell you because of how your thought process is, you don't like that I'm right a lot. So you're not really going to fucking listen to what I have to say, which is, forgive me for saying this, but it's fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't think in any relationship I've had with anybody, and I don't mean romantic, but just like in general, like even with my friendship and with Ricky, and it's just like, she tells you all the time, like, I don't think he's ever fucking been wrong. And
shut up, Ricky. Yes, he has.
And it's just like, it's only because I sit back and I analyze, Yeah. So like, so if anybody ever fucking hangs out with us and you look at me and it's like, why is he just sitting in that corner? Or why is it like I'm really just picking everybody apart. And
you should start your own class, like how to analyze people.
It's not. I don't think it's something you could teach, to be honest.
Damn.
We've been together 16 years and you don't get it. You would have thought that some of this would have rubbed up on you.
No.
Not in the way that you think, but
you said rubbed up on me.
Well,
rubbed off
rubbed
on
up,
me.
Rub off.
Rubbed up, rubbed off. Yeah, you've rubbed off on me.
Oh my God. See, you see. Come on, Chandler, bring it in, bring it in.
You know what's funny is that I have the book, the Matthew Perry memoir,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of hard to read because he writes the way he speaks, so it's like not flowy in a way.
And there's some people that.
But anywho's, he continues to say that he, as Chandler Bing, just was himself.
So he didn't have to act. That's
That's
why he was so good at it.
He was so good at it because that's who he is.
Do you think a lot of people are like that? Like a lot of the actors, like in their most powerful roles, that's who they are.
Damn, she was a really good bitch, but it's just like, oh, just be me.
Yeah, because like even with Heath Ledger, and he played the Joker.
Yeah.
Like I understand that they get into character, and then it takes a while for people to come out of character. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if he was so much in character that that was just really who he was.
Yeah,
and obviously, rest in peace to him. But perhaps he never got out of character because that he probably never was in it, and that's just who he was, and that's why he was so fucking good at the role, you know. But that's I don't know. It's just.
I was gonna say something, but it was probably gonna be really inappropriate.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
it's because you're getting awkward. It's getting serious again.
Yeah, it's getting too serious. Will you stop? I pulled us out of the dark, and now you're pulling us back in.
I'm not. I'm just. You're the one that started talking about Chandler Bing.
Well, yeah, but then you started talking about Heath Ledger and his depression.
No, I'm just saying.
His darkness.
Just in general, people. These actors are so fucking good at it, but I think like their best roles.
How do you get yourself out of that role that you've been in for so many months, like that person?
Because I know like Will Smith should have just been stuck in the Pursuit of Happiness role, and he may not have slapped Chris Rock. You're right. He probably would have just been like, you know what, nothing. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Fuck my bitch.
Like, honestly, she was wrong.
I think so. There's if anyone hasn't seen it yet, watch Chris Rock's special. But even watch Marlon Wayne's special came out, and I was like, why the fuck is he talking about it? Like, is he just being a fucking a troll on it and trying to clout chase on this shit? But his perspective of it was really fucking interesting because he's just like, it had to happen to Will Smith and Chris Rock. He goes, because if it would have happened to me, my family's too fucking big for that to just happen and not have had anything done.
No, yeah.
He goes, you would have seen all the Wayans just fucking coming in and flying through the fucking
so many. Like, what the fuck?
He goes, that wouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. He goes, it happened to the right people. He goes, and unfortunately they were all fucking wrong. You know, like as much as we do defend Chris Rock, like, and we get it, but one of my things is like bro, if you had a situation with a person before, just leave them off the table, especially if you know that they don't react to it well. You know what I mean? Like, just leave it off the table. Let them fucking just sit there and live their life. We don't have to attack everybody just because they're right in front of us. Sometimes if you know how they are, just leave it alone, dog. Like, you've already encountered how petty this person is a few years ago over some dumb shit. Mm. You didn't have to say their name. So, in a sense, he was wrong for that, and Will Smith was just wrong for laughing and then looking like a dumbass, and then oh, my girl ain't laughing.
My girl's mad as she made
like
that
face. That was a bitch move. But on all behalves, they were in my opinion they were all wrong. Like, Chris Rock, you had an issue with her before. Then to you may not have been an issue, but you seen how she reacted to something that was just so fucking childish. Yeah, you should have just left her alone. Yeah, because now anything you do or say, she's gonna have caca face with you. Like, and we all do that. You know what I mean? Like,
and we have a lot of people who have caca face at us for
we end up looking at
reasons.
We end up looking at people, and you mentioned it this morning, like first impression. Like, they're not a bad person, but it's just the first impression rubbed off the wrong way.
First impressions are everything.
And it was just like, hey, she's a good person, but that first impression just left a sour taste in my mouth with her, and I just don't fuck with her that way. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how nice she is to me from this point on, which sucks. Mm-hmm. But if you knew that, you should have, not you, but he should have just kept her fucking name out of his mouth. Real shit. Like, and Will Smith should have just been a fucking, like, a man and been like, just fucking swallow it, bro. Like real, like, and not to be like on some gangster shit, but real G's, we don't react right away. We don't like, and I don't say we. I don't consider myself
I was
a
like,
real
are you
G.
a G?
Nah.
What up?
But most of them don't react in that way, right? Like they don't. Even when you were going through what you were going through, everybody was telling me like, "Don't do it now. Don't do anything now. Don't react." And I looked at them like,
Yeah.
"This is how I know you don't know codes. Like you don't know how shit really works." So I just leave it at that, you know. And I don't think he understands it either. Like he just fucking let me go do this now. Like, bro, you could
Show
have
that I'm a man. Show everybody right now.
you could have confronted that situation a whole lot different. You could have met him in the back and had a fucking convo.
Yeah.
She didn't have to see it, and you could have just went back and be like, "This is how it went down," and just let her fucking think whatever she thinks. At the end of the day, she don't give a fuck what you say. We've already seen that. We've already seen the way she treats him. That she does not give a fuck what he says. So
like, we had what was it? An entanglement, bitch.
Cause even that, so even in that comedy special with Chris Rock, like he pulls that up, like, man, he goes, he didn't, that slap wasn't for me. He goes, I just so happened to be the one that was there. He goes, because did I tell her to tell you and have a conversation for the whole world to see about, like, who the fuck does that? Hey, I cheated on you with this person.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah,
like,
why?
what
And that's another thing that I don't understand. Like, a lot of people want to post things on social media or like just what she did and post this for the whole world to see. But it's just like some things are meant to stay private.
I think all things are, like, when it comes to relationships, we used to have that conversation when we first started dating, because I would always tell you that too. Like, you talk too much to like your friends and your family about us. Not everything we do is their situation. You know what I mean? Like, you have to leave something on the table for us to have to work out. Yeah. Because what ends up happening is when you get other people involved, everybody thinks that their voice matters once you get them involved, and they think that their voice is the highest, and it's just like it's not. But then it's how you end up creating conflict. You know, like, so that's why, like, if you would go out with people, I'm like, great, she's gonna come back this way now. And
no, I only talk to Lydia now, so
yeah.
Lydia knows everything, and she said, "Sam, be nice." I'm like, "What? Shut the fuck up, Lydia. Get out of here. I'll do what I want. You're not the boss of
I'm
me.
a narcissist. I do what I want, Lydia.
I do what I want." Oh, Sam, stop being so mean to him. Give him some more.
Oh, my God.
That's her. That's her.
I think some of the people in your family listen to this.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah. But
they don't judge.
So how about we eat? I'm not gonna say erase, but now, because I asked you how your week was, and that led back into this, which honestly, that's really what your week was. Was everything that we just talked about that really was what your week was. You have to now find a time to decompress it.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do.
Like, I think you got to work on that. Like, just in general. Like, and you got to find a time to decompress. And, like, even, like, and this is not a shot at you, but put the fucking phone down.
Yeah. And
stop looking for answers there.
I was watching on TikTok.
No, I'm just in general, though. But you get what I'm saying?
Not
like,
Googling stuff.
Like, just...
Yeah. I definitely need to, because even though I had whatever I had done yesterday, the weight has been lifted off my shoulders, but it doesn't mean that once I go back to where I need to go, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have that fear still.
Yeah, but you have to perhaps just remind yourself and decompress it, because at the end of the day, when you sit there with all that weight on your shoulders, it starts to show. Yeah. And at the end of the day, people don't care about your problems. And I only say that because in the field that you work in, your face can't show that you're not happy.
And I never do. And that's why I say I deserve a fucking Academy Award half of the time, because just like I go in and I feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to get through this. But as soon as I see the kids, I'm on. It's showtime. And it's just like, oh, hey, how are you guys?
Yeah.
All these things. And it's just like, and then they leave, and then I deep breath. Next one. Here they come. Hey, you guys, I missed you so much, and did it. All these things. So, you know,
So
I'm an actress.
One thing that I did want to bring up that I don't think really had anything to do with this, but kind of does. So I was, and I just told you to be off your phone. But one thing that, when I got home, I actually looked at my Instagram. You know that like you could leave notes.
Yeah.
On the thing now. So, the homie DJSP.
That's the one who does the cookies?
Yeah, he makes fucking amazing cookies. Oh my god,
so good.
If you guys follow on Instagram, follow at DJSP is me. Dope DJ and probably even better baker. That motherfucker's cookies are amazing. But he posted a note and it says sometimes you're surprised by who roots for you and who doesn't. And I thought about it, and then so my response to him was I'm not, because the writing is on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to look up from time to time. And I say that in meaning we get so focused in on what we're doing that we don't look up to see the disrespect or just the way people treat us. Even the appreciation. Sometimes we don't realize that people are appreciating the things that we do because we're just so stuck into what we're actually doing ourselves. You know, and it's just like you have to pick your fucking head up and start acknowledging the appreciations and the disrespect, and not so much dwell on the disrespect, but sit there and actually embrace the appreciation of shit. Because in life, if you don't embrace the things that people appreciate about you, you're never gonna know what it is that they appreciate about you, and whether or not you're doing it right. You know, so like going back to changing your mindset. When you look up, don't look at the negative shit that these people are saying about you. Like, you look at it and you leave it there.
Yeah.
Gravitate towards the appreciation that people have for you. Yeah. It's hard for you to take compliments.
It is.
Unless I call you sexy pants, and then you go.
Because I know I am.
And you go. But yeah, that was a dope note that he left, which obviously led into more conversation. But it all ties hand in hand. That's why like this episode was a little deep. But
I think it's just coming off of from what we talked about last week.
Yeah, it's coming off from what we talked about, but then too just some of the things that we've seen, you know, like that's just our week. Again, this is the only time that you and I really have to sit down and actually have a fucking conversation about things that are happening in life apart from our children, because I would say like 95% of our conversations have to do with our son and our daughter,
brats.
You know, and it's just like we don't always see eye to eye when it comes to that. So it's just like, well, you guys are always arguing. No, you're just always messing around and making us have to argue with each other.
Like yesterday, Kara, I was giving her a bath and I was like, you know, talking to her. She goes, I like this mom. I like nice mom. Can we keep her? I was like, well, if you want to keep her, then what do you need to do? She was like, need to listen. And I was like, what else? Don't throw tantrums. I was like, yep. And then nice mom will be here to stay. But when she comes back,
And that was the same thing I used to tell Josh all the time. Like, bro, there's two versions of me that you get, right? You get the mean dad that you don't like, and you get the dad that is cool and lets you do what you want. But I still have to reel you in when you go overboard, right? And he's just like, yeah. So which one do you want? I want the cool dad. Okay, well, what keeps the cool dad cool?
Not pissing him off.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
doing what I'm supposed to without going, oh, you guys are so mean.
Because that's one thing that they always tell you, and we like dissected it and threw it in their face the other day, where they're like, oh, is dad going to work? Is dad going to work? You don't care if I go to work because you miss me. You care if I go to work because you won't miss me, because you're going to be fucking destroying your mother the entire time, because you know your mom will just be like, oh, knock it off already.
Yeah, or just because I'm done. Like, I'm like, what do you guys want? But I think they forgot that you were here one day this week. You were in the computer room. You were in the computer room, and I think they had thought you left. And so they're, of course, going fucking buck wild. And then he comes out. He's like, is this why your mom's always losing her shit? And I was like, yes, this is why. This is why. And they're just like, oh, shit. Like, I did not know he was here still.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm telling you. And it's funny because I don't know how kids don't understand that parents communicate. Maybe, I guess, maybe some parents don't communicate. Like, besides us doing this, we also communicate, obviously, now, technology. We do it through text.
You already know I'm having a bad day because I text you. I'm like, get your son. Your son?
He's my son.
When before...
that's her baby.
Yeah, but before, when I had him, I was like, that's my baby. Get the fuck out of here. That's mine. And now I'm like, get your son because I'm about to go to jail.
But it's... I don't know. I love being a parent, though. It's fun.
It's fun. But sometimes I
even yesterday, messing with him, like, it made me proud to see his reaction of stop fucking with me. Because not trying to like be disrespectful towards my son, but up until yesterday, I don't think I've ever seen that in him.
Yeah, the anger.
To where it's just like he actually stood up for himself. Mm-hmm. He like fucking posed a threat.
And how do you feel his strength was? Do you think it's there to fight someone maybe of his size and not yours?
Oh, of his size, yeah, because I wasn't applying pressure. I was just fucking with them. But it was good to see him do it. But then I also know, like, even throughout it, like, I teach him leverage and I teach him ways of doing things. And that's why I was telling you yesterday, like, don't baby him. When him and I do this, do not baby him. Because I don't want him. So, and I only say this because I don't think.
All right, well. I don't. I
Man,
know
you got
you're
like
gonna
10 minutes.
You're gonna go off tangent and start reprimanding me as a mother.
Because what I'm saying is like
our time is up today.
in the life that I've lived before, right? And people are gonna think I'm fucking sick. But unless you've knocked a person out, you don't know what that feels like. And there's like this weird ass fucking feeling, and it could be both scary and like an adrenaline rush at the same fucking time. And
is it that crack when you meet someone's face?
It's you could literally feel a person's fucking body collapse in your hand, and your hand's not even open, right? Like you could feel it, just like it's a weird fucking feeling.
I want that. Is that weird?
So
come here, let me punch you in the face really quick.
But in me telling you don't baby him is because there is a point too where you do feel bad. And I don't want him to feel bad for doing that to someone if he's able to. That is being disrespectful to him. Yeah. I don't want him to have a soft side for people that are being disrespectful to him. Oh, he needs to
see, and when you were saying don't baby him, I just thought it was because like you're his mama's boy.
That goes because I'm a fucking mama's boy. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You could clown me on that shit all you want. I'm a fucking mama's boy. But best believe so is my son.
But you know what? You're a different type of mama's boy because your mom isn't like, I don't know how to explain it. She's not one of those mother-in-laws who are all up in your biz.
No, well, my mom also doesn't favor me. Like some people have like moms that end up like, they're still attached to the tit. Yeah. You know what I mean? My mom doesn't do that. Like if you and I have a situation, my mom will ask me, what would you do?
Because I know you. Yeah, what did you do?
Like you're my son, I have your back, but I need to know like what you did, you know? Yeah. So that's one of those things where it's just like just don't baby him. He's at the point now where he needs to know what it's like to become a man. He's in the becoming of being a man now, and you can't take that away from him. Yeah. He's always my baby, and even when I text, I always text you. What do I say? How are my babies? I don't care if he's 11, 12 years old.
How's my baby? And then the boy.
I don't fucking say that.
I'm kidding.
She just wants to make me look like a bad parent.
He says, and the other child.
No, but it's just like they're always going to be your baby. But at the end of the day, they have to be okay without you. And by babying them all the fucking time, you're not allowing that.
Yeah. No. If I go somewhere, where are you going? Well, where are you going? Yeah. Why are you going? I'm like, you don't even fucking like me half the time. I'm leaving. What time are you going to be back? Are you drinking? Are you a drunk? Are you also smoking? Because you know that drinkers smoke too.
You know what he told me the other day? He actually texted me when I was at the studio because I had to do a set.
What day was this?
I believe it was no. He texted me while I was at work. It was Sunday because your aunt and the baby came over.
Oh, huh.
And I guess you guys were making sundaes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he texts me, he goes, "Mom's gonna put peanuts in her sundae."
He told on me,
And so I sent him, the just like the face, like oh shit. And he just like, and then I think I sent him a GIF. I forgot what GIF I sent him. Let me see real quick before we.
I cannot believe he fucking ratted on me. All right, Josh. All right, it's on.
Oh, look it. So he goes, yeah, this is Sunday. He goes, mom's gonna put peanuts in her sundae, and he
said peanuts, not penis.
He put the crying emoji and the palm to the face, and then I sent him a GIF. It says, "Why God?"
Because if I didn't mention, did I mention on the podcast?
You have a form of some type of allergic reaction to peanuts.
To peanuts, and it was just a little bit.
But but you could imagine, like for him, he's a drastic person.
Yeah.
The littlest thing sends him overboard, so you can't.
He saw me drinking. Does that mean you smoke too? I was like, oh my God, chill the fuck out. But you know what? We got to really wrap this up because I got to get to work.
What's that?
It's this place where you go and they make sure that you're doing what they pay you for.
I only do what I can get myself paid for.
If anybody knows any really like legit work from home jobs, please send them my way. Please. But anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing day. And if you guys are jerks, I hope you have the day you deserve. This is Sam.
And I'm Ray.
Thanks for listening.